So you want to create a blended learning session or course. In our last video, we defined blended learning for 2021 and beyond, stating that a complementary combination of both synchronous and asynchronous components is key. But there are further details to consider. This video will help you get started in the creation of your blended learning session by asking you to think about D.E.S.C. No, not that. This. D.E.S.C is the 4 key components of design, educator role, student mindset, and content that can help you create quality blended learning experiences. So let's start by looking at design, specifically learning design. When planning your session or course, one thing to consider is an appropriate blended learning model. This is key to inform your overall learning design and to help you visualize what your student's journey and support structure might look like. Other considerations in the learning design are the type of content, which I'll explore more later, but what learning activities and assessment will there be? How will they be linked to your learning outcomes? Which components of your content will be delivered synchronously and asynchronously? And where will the opportunities for self-directed learning be? The educator role in blended learning is slightly different. For example, developing a learning design might be a new concept for educators, but it's really important to map out that overview and to think about where and how much support is given. The main shift, however, is in the delivery of the session, because your primary role moves from delivering content to facilitating and supporting the student's journey through the digital content, through the learning activities, and in supporting the self-directed study. Now, it really depends on the level of your learners as to how much support is given. You may start with more structure and support, then ease back as time goes on to give more student autonomy. The shift in educator role is common in learner-centered education, but it also requires the students to adjust their approach to learning, because blended learning can help develop independent, critical thinking if students move away from expecting to passively receive information. Instead, they need to be active participants who have responsibility for their own learning. Only then can they develop skills to learn with and from their peers, and also skills to be able to continue learning beyond the teaching time. This shift in approach is not easy for either educators or students, but again, the learning design of the session can help. So you've picked a blended learning model, you have your outcomes mapped to some kind of assessment, you have an idea of the content and how it will be delivered. But how can we break that content down further? So I think about content in 3 different types. One is digital learning objects. These can be videos of many different types. You could have audio files, you could have online readings and activities, etc. And these naturally lend themselves to asynchronous or self-directed delivery. But they can also be used in synchronous or in-person delivery. Then there's learning activities for active learning and collaboration. I'll talk more about these activities and strategies in another video, but again, they can happen in both synchronous and asynchronous environments, but can really make your in-person time count. And then there are self-directed learning opportunities for students both in the synchronous and asynchronous environments. As mentioned, you can start with small activities with a high level of support, and as time goes on, you can reduce the level of support and increase the complexity of the activity. So in summary, when thinking about creating your blended learning session, consider D.E.S.C. To think about your learning design, your role as an educator and facilitator of learning, and how can you support your students to take ownership of their learning by engaging them in a structured, supported approach that can lead to a deeper, more meaningful learning experience. If this all seems like a lot, please remember you don't have to redesign or create your sessions overnight. Everything I've talked about can be part of an incremental process of learning redesign. But which part would you start with and why? Let us know in the comments below. If you got value from this video, please hit like and consider subscribing, and check out the next video where we'll do a deeper dive into different blended learning models.